Assalamualaikum. My name is Aisha Akhtar. Now I'm going to present a paper presentation which is based on pattern recognition in human brain. This presentation is designed for Mr. Anajit Alim Rasan sir, who is our Advanced Syntactic Pattern Recognition course instructor, and the course code is CSC 713. Let's start from the abstract. Abstract. In abstract part, human brain pattern recognition is a crucial element of how we learn and make the decision. This project includes investigating of the neural correlates of higher cognitive function, diagnosis screening, differential diagnosis, and the prognostic assessment of neurologic disorder, classification of the stages of normal and disturbed sleep, and classification of the neurologic pattern associated with various types of psychotropic drugs. Dataset is analyzed using pattern classification algorithms such as decision function, transable classifications networks, distance functions, syntactic methods, and the hybrids. So the Alien Institute of Brain Science, which include magnetic resonance image, that means MRI, DT, diffusion tensor, and the compute tomography, that means CT scan data. Here the keyword is here. Now the introduction. So this is accomplished in machines via machine learning and the pattern recognition specific algorithms. Pattern recognition gives the solution to problems like investigation of the neural networks of higher cognitive function, diagnosis, screening, which I discussed before, and the classification of the neurologic patterns associated with the various types of the psychotropic drugs. So later we will first classify the pattern. What's that? Pattern classification. There are numerous categorization algorithms available today, and it is impossible to determine one is superior to others. So it is dependent on the application and the nature of data collection supplied. Classification of the techniques that describes here. The techniques. So there are sufficient techniques. So I have used in this paper 6 techniques. First, statistical techniques. The pattern is referred to in this model as features. So these features have been chosen in a way that difficult patterns take up the same amount of area without overlapping. So it is capable of forcing and recognizing the probabilistic nature of events. So it works well so that in this case, attributes assist in the cluster information. So if the example of patterns, probability distribution, decision boundaries, and so on. So here is the systems that we will do. This is the processing, then the next feature extraction from the clustering sections. We have to extract, and the measurement as well as the learning. Also the classification will be identify in these sections. Then we apply pattern recognition bias decision rules, PCA, and the other schemes are among the schemas utilization and the investigation of the neural correlations of the higher cognitive functions. The next step is the structural techniques. So in stage or techniques in the sophisticated pattern recognition such as multidimensional entities, a structural model would like diagnostic screening, differential diagnosis. Structures and its shapes in patterns are added in this model. The important part is template matching. So what is that? The pattern that was matched is saved in templates, and the templates were provided scalar and the rotation freedom. This model completes is based on database already stored templates, classification of the stages of the normal and the disturbed sleep. So there is also we can medical term called sleep apnea test. That is a disease test name. So in this scenario, we consider the correlation functions to be a recognition function, which is then optimized based on the availability, the training set. So here, in practically, we want to develop this human snapshot and the collection of data. That means before we discuss that MRI data, CT scan data, DT data, that we are doing the matching part. The next part is neural network approaches, that is also called the Moncrief techniques or approach, you can call easily. So the ability to change the weights on iteration patterns frequency known as the learning skill for machine purpose. So give this model a competitive advantage over competing models. The classification of the neuroelectric patterns associated with various types of psycho trophic drugs. One of the oldest neuron model is the perceptron. So in this case we will also use the neural network approaches in this layer, the input section. We will use the hidden state as well as the we get the output result. And the fifth technique is fuzzy model. For pattern link to formal languages employ a syntactic approach when fuzzy division of data sets are required, and semantic approaches can be considered to apply, and the similarity index is then calculated based on the weights of the distance between fuzzy and the reference sets. In the contrast of classical or digital logic, either 0 or 1, which function on this discrete value of 0 and 1 before we include this mathematical system analyzes along an analog input values in the terms of logical variables that take on the continuous values between 0 and 1. The last part is hybrid models. So for the final conclusion, we can employ a collection of classifier and the combiners to improve the system performance. The use of many classifier improves the system performance. Each classifier is trained in a different set of features before we include the data set, where we can train or pattern matching before we include. So the classifier and their accuracy are determined by the decision function. The optimization is used to determine whether or not a set classifier should be formed. It is our challenging phase in this paper. The last thing is the conclusion part. So we have to clear about the expectations problems, then apply techniques in pattern classification algorithms and testing training. So we have compiled a list of several pattern recognition algorithms and compared them. It is a good idea to use these methods in accordance with the problem's statements requirements. So data set training is an important for getting the better result and the experiment which I want to apply. And the fuzzy approaches is used to recognize unknown shape. In a hybrid approach, the boost the strength of the patterns recognition algorithms and adds variation. So here is the reference links where I have collected the information 1 to 9. The reference link here, first one I have uses the HTTP links, and the last 6 to 9 part also include the paper collections. So thank you so much.